While the state recovers from two major hurricanes, Governor Ron DeSantis signed an executive order authorizing election changes in the hardest hit counties to make it easier to cast ballots. Polling places will be allowed to move locations now if the original site is destroyed. The Secretary of Elections must work to ensure those impacted by the hurricane can vote, including access to vote by mail. Specific training requirements are lifted for poll workers, and the requirement for a signed request to send a vote by mail ballot to a different address is being lifted. However, a voter must still provide their driver license or social security number. Florida voters will be casting ballots on the issue of abortion in November. Currently, Florida's Heartbeat Protection Act protects the life of an unborn after 6 weeks gestation. That law only took effect in May of this year. Voters will decide on Amendment 4, which would establish a right to abortion in the state constitution. It would ensure abortions are legal until a baby is viable. Viability is typically around 23 or 24 weeks, but the language on this ballot leaves viability to be determined by the patient's healthcare provider.
It would wipe out all the pro-life laws in Florida, very likely. It would eliminate the parental involvement law. There's a very good chance it would require taxpayer funding of abortion through Florida's Medicaid program. And it would also essentially legalize abortion throughout all 9 months of pregnancy.
In order for this amendment to pass, it needs at least 60% of voters in Florida to vote in favor of it. The Florida Office of Election Crimes and Security has opened more than 100 investigations into potentially fraudulent signatures used to get the abortion amendment on the ballot. However, the state law to challenge the validity of amendment signatures has passed, so it is unclear if the amendments can be removed from the ballot. Tammy Fecci, Associate for Life and Dignity at the Florida Conference of Catholic Bishops, joins us now to talk about what the church is doing to inform voters about this measure. Tammy, how is the Florida Conference of Catholic Bishops working to get the word out to Catholic voters?
Well, the Florida Conference of Catholic Bishops urges all Floridians to stand against the legislation of late-term abortions and to oppose Amendment 4. As a response, the bishops of Florida have issued numerous resources that can be found on the FCCB website, including the bishop's statement on Amendment 4, the parish toolkit with resources for use in parish bulletins and on bulletin boards, fact sheets explaining why Floridians should vote no on Amendment 4, and addressing frequently asked questions about Amendment 4. The bishops have also issued a prayer card because we know how important prayer is in this battle. Along with the bishops have made videos. There are podcasts, columns, and letters from all of the bishops of Florida throughout the 7 dioceses. And I also wanted to highlight Dr. Gracie Christie also did a video for us that is now being played in our parishes.
That's incredibly encouraging to see so many efforts being made to educate voters. Now, a New York Times Siena College poll and a Victory Insights poll both indicate that this measure has less than 50% of voter support in Florida. In order to pass, it needs 60% approval. Is that a sign of hope?
Well, although both polls, the Victory Insights and the New York Times Siena College poll, show that there's a support for Amendment 4 ballot initiative is falling well short of the 60% threshold needed for passage, supporters of legal abortion have made large investments in Florida. Now, we should not be that overly confident because we recently viewed polling from Mason-Dixon Polling and Strategy indicating that 66% of women polled were likely to support Amendment 4. So we want to be very cautious. Mason-Dixon's numbers came 2 weeks after the Victory Insights survey and showed that Amendment 4 had enough support to pass. However, there is a large enough share of undecided voters who could still make a pro-life victory happen. We just want to make sure that we're not overly confident and that, our campaign strategies continue to move forward.
That's a good suggestion. And are there concerns that this amendment could impact pro-life pregnancy centers?
Right now, Florida's current Heartbeat Protection Act has expanded pro-life protections and provides additional resources for young mothers and families. For the fiscal year of 2024-2025, the state of Florida has invested close to $500,000 to support. I'm sorry, correction. Has invested $456.5 million to support health and development of pregnant women and children, and for the Florida Kid Care Program. It's also going to improve access to obstetric care for pregnant women and initiatives for children with development delays. This is also going to expand minority maternal health care programs and telehealth. So we've seen an increase in women using these services like the Florida Pregnancy Care Network. And although there's much work to be done, we are grateful for the laws that have strengthened the social structures that accompany and support pregnant women and families.
That's incredibly encouraging. Thank you so much, Tammy.
Thank you.